Hello, and welcome to today's Fork Friday. I'm just going to start sharing screen, and we're going to have a look at some of the charts of the week and what's been happening. That's what we do. We bring our charts, we have a look at what the markets have been doing, and we take it from there. So let's just start sharing screen. And I'll just start with the news. You can see what's gone on this week. Quite a mix of things. We always start by looking at the red flag news, and then we come on to our trading view. And one that I was looking at today, GBP USD, very nice 30 pips down there. Now you can see with this one that that green into yellow line marks the end of Tokyo and into London. So there are various trend lines here. That was your sort of current trend at the time there. I'll just remove that now. And then it dipped below. So you've got a pitchfork and a quarter theory, and it did do two breaks and retests. So you might, and it was below the 62 EMA. So you might have thought that you were safe to get in that trade. But the problem with it is if you, let me just take a brush, an arrow. First of all, we don't get into trades on the arrow in the opposite direction. So even if you thought you had your three confirmations, under the 62 EMA, pitchfork touch, just refer to your, that's the daily planner. I don't think I've got the trade sheet open, but just refer to your trade sheet. A break and a retest, and you did get a break and a retest of over 10 pips. So sometimes we go for about, 8, anything less than that, and it could be slippage or just consolidation. You don't want to get involved. So why wouldn't you have got in anywhere here for the buy? My quarter theory has just turned itself off because I haven't put Brian's new indicator on. There it is. Let me just add on a proper line in case it switches itself off. There. And dotted line, that'll do. So if we come back here, so okay, we wanted to get in, say someone was thinking of getting into it for a buy. So you wouldn't have got into it, which someone did say this morning that they had done that. So you wouldn't have got into it for a buy because first of all, you had green, or you might have red, but sell candles. So don't get in onto a trade when the candle's in the opposite direction to the trade you want to take. You had two breaks and retests of 10 pips or over for a sell, and of the pitchfork as well. That's beautiful when you get pitchfork and quarter theory together. So it was most definitely not a buy in anyone's book at all. If you had got in for the buy, then you would have waited till here until you had a buy candle. Now, do you see that doji candle there? Indecision candle here. That's called an indecision candle. Price can decide it's going to do either thing. It's like a little spinning top. And as you can see, and the candle closed, that denotes the lowest price for that candle. Once they're printed forever. We're on the 1 minute charts. It's the 1 minute candle. So that was the lowest that price achieved, but this was its closing position. It's a buy candle. So and again, that wick up says that's the highest that price achieved on that buy candle, but it finally closed at that point, and that's how it's printed in the markets forever. So your entry point, if you did get into this, would be here. So just above quarter theory, the candle body's closed above. You're above the pitchfork and above the 62 EMA. So let's just come down to our normal size. And if anyone's got any questions or you want us to look at any charts or anything, we can share screen. I'll make you co-host. It's a fairly informal session, so please feel free. So if you had done that, I think this added up to about 10 or 15 pips, 13 pips. So you would have got your 10 pips there. And then once you saw it stalling out here, then get out the trade. You can see it's not really going to carry on. It's very small body on the candles, not really going to carry on up to the 20 pip mark. And in fact, we are outside the, trying to see where the extensions are. And I've just drawn on a couple of new scans just now. So we're looking at this area down here. So there's the D point. This is GBP USD, and we're looking down here. So in between, it's quite a big scan, isn't it? So between the extensions and there's 143, which is why I couldn't see where the next line up was. So back to this, and pay attention to the sessions at the top as well, because that does affect which pairs move. We do have a currency pairs speed, and you have your hot pairs, so GBP, Euro, CHF, Swiss franc for London, USD, Canadian dollar, CAD for New York session, and AUD, JPY and NZD for Asian session. So after this point, then you're looking for the buy, because we've got a sell scan, we've got quarter theory and pitchfork together, and I think someone said they'd got stopped out on this. I can't remember if, oh no, I think that might be Euro AUD. I've just seen a post in one of the chat groups. So we're coming into London now. Remember, it's Friday. I don't do any trading on a Friday because of the markets. I do mine sometimes Monday, never Sunday night, sometimes Monday, mostly Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So it's come up to test the 15-minute line. Now it started to drop down. You're thinking, oh good, shall I get in here again for a buy, for a sell, beg your pardon, for a sell. Sorry, my mistake. You want your price below the 62 and the pitchfork. So how much did that? Let me just magnify it for you so you can see the candles properly. So how much did that break and retest for? So you had your 10 pips break and retest. You've had pitchfork touch, check, break and retest of pitchfork twice, check, and break and retest of quarter theory, check, and under the 62. So you've got all your confirmations for a sell. So if you'd got in, you could have got in here, or you might have missed that and then said, okay, I've got all my confirmations. But if you notice on this one, you don't get it back under the 62 on a sell candle. There is no entry here. But if you'd been caught out, because there's two little dojis there and then a sell candle, let's just look at how many pips, because normally on this pair we'd have a 10 pip stop loss. So if you'd got in there or there, I'll put it on the pitchfork because that's where we should put our stop losses to get the 10 pips. And you're going to be just with broker spread and commission. You're going to be taken out of that trade because it comes to test the 15-minute. Now, this line is very important, this 15-minute, because price, as you can see, it slipped through there, but it will come back and try and retest the 15-minute more often than not. And sometimes you'll find price plays between the current trend, the orange, the 62, our current momentum in the market, which is the 1 minute, and the blue line, which is the 1 minute, as it would appear as if we were looking at the 15-minute chart. So it's back in history, but price does like to come and test it. So you could either get stopped out, or you might have seen that happening, and because you'd had your very good set of 4 confirmations here. You might have had the confidence to say, do you know what, I'm just going to take it up to, you know, a few pips above the 15-minute. Difficult one, because I'm not saying I always do that. I tend to get stopped out, to be honest, but I'm not always adverse to getting back in a trade. So if that had stopped you out at 10 pips, and this is a 30 pip win, so you've got your 1 to 3, then what happens next? So what happens next is you're fed up because you've been stopped out. You see price coming down. You haven't got a very big break and retest there. And it's also blue candles going up. And then, all good, it's starting to move down. So you're thinking, am I going to get back in? So you might have thought to yourself you'd get back in here, because this is all still valid. This is all still valid. And then the same entry in effect, and you would not have got caught out because you can see it's forming lower highs. So if we put a channel on, so I use the pivots, so lower highs, so you know that that is the, well, okay, you did, that is in the future. You didn't have that, but you did have these lower highs here, lower lows there, a higher low, but then lower highs forming there. So that should, seeing that there, should add, plus this should have given you the confidence that you could have got back in there. If you missed that because you weren't confident, which is fine, and then you put that on, and as I said, that's 8.8 there, but we said chance says about 8 is okay. So it gives you another entry, but not on a buy candle, but you can also see that it's wicking off. I'll move that over now. You can also see that it's wicking off. The wicks tell the story. Price is failing to push up. And then where it changes to New York on the hourly candle, it makes a little push up, but you've got the stall out. So read the candles. You've got the stall out on quarter theory for 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes. So you would not have got in here because it's going up. It's a buy candle, a small sell candle. Okay, there's a green engulfing candle, but then it evens out, and then you've got 3 candles of doji. These are all 1 minute candles, of course, and a strong push up to test quarter theory. So read all those candles, see the strong green one down, then that lovely stall out, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 candles. Bang, you should be in there. So even if you got stopped out, in there again, and then you've got that 30 pip run down. Now when we look at exits, because here we're under the 62, and as we've always said, no reason to get out of the trade if price is under the 62. However, according to our exit check sheet, 20 pips is our trade goal, 25 pips our daily goal, and if you're up at 30 pips, then, you know, and look at all that stall out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that stalls out there on that level. So very respectable area. Someone did get that exactly right. That's 20 minutes stall out. So that tells you you might want to, you know, it's not going to push down to this take profit level here. We work to levels, we work to the next zones, which for us would be that quarter theory. It wasn't going to do that, which would have been 45 pips. So if you hadn't got out here because you thought, all right, it's stalled out, but is it going to carry on running down to the next level? And then you saw it turning and stalling, this would have given you your next point to get out of the trade here as it starts to come above the 62. And you would have had a 1 minute trend line coming down here as well. So it would have broken the trend. Oh, magnet. It would have broken the trend. So if we put our, you've got, I mean, that's quite tight. There's quite a lot of touches there. something like that, maybe off that wick onto that. So picking up all those points there, and then you can see it's broken your 1 minute trend line, stalled out. So you've got, and I did put the hull on when people were chatting about this, because the hull, sorry, it's going to look like Star Wars, but the hull was all red, but the 1 minute trend did reverse for one big long green. Sorry, it's slow to load because I'm going to zoom here. So once to come down here, you've got one small flip of the hull that is not sufficient to get you out. Then it's red again, and then one long big flip of the hull. So that should have been sufficient, although we go for 2 long flips usually. Usually we go for 2, but I think given that it's above the 62 EMA, that should have told you you'd be well out the trade by then, because you've given up all those pips. So let's just look at how many pips we would have lost. So you'll never always get the 100% of a trade, but if we put that there up to the 62, you would have been giving back 13 pips out of the 30. So you're back to your 17 to 20 pips trade goal. So that is a lot of pips to give up on a pair like this. This isn't quite as fast as some of the other GBP pairs. And then, of course, if you're still in the trade by now, you're absolutely kicking yourself, realizing that you're right back to only 3, 4, 5 pips. So, oh, good, you think it's going to come and work its way down here. But remember how critical all this stall out is. Plus, it's broken the 1 minute trend line. However you chose to draw that 1 minute trend line, it will still have broken it. Then, even after a stall out, it then goes for the buy. And finally, a break and retest of the 62. That critical area should have been out there. You've given up 13 pips. And we've all been there. I've done this as well. And then this makes you right fed up for the day. You're right back up to where you nearly got into the trade after all that setup and waiting for it. And if you've been stopped out once. And in fact, I think that's a very good point. If you've been stopped out once and you get back in, and I often do get back in, no problem with that, because I've only risked the 10 pips. If I've come down to 30 pips and I'm thinking I've got to knock off that 10 pip stop loss, so I've made 20, then I'm definitely out the trade down there. Definitely, with all that stall out, because I want to make sure I come away with that 20, that 1 to 2, because I've been stopped out once. And then that trade's done and dusted, respectable, and I'll move on to something else. So here we are, stall out for hours. And of course, it's now going to come right back down. So you've given up the 13 pips or so, in fact more, and it is going to come down to that quarter theory now, just to tease us. So that's, you would have had to have given up 28 pips. There's no way I could have stomached that, and then waited in it for how long before it goes across to here? 1.5 hours. And we've done 30 pips, and we're looking to be greedy to get an extra 12 down there. So I would not want that. I don't sit in trades that long if I can help it. I've got far too bored by then. So for me, that would have been one exit point there. If I had missed that for whatever reason, even if I'd been stopped out by 10, I would have been out here. Not very happy out, but I would have been out there. So that would have made me just about even, wouldn't it, by the time I'd given that up, if I'd been stopped out once. So this is how you've got to analyze your trades, and also analyze when you get in, where you're going to get out, and not be unhappy if you walk away. Not be unhappy if you hadn't got stopped out, you just got in for the first time on that perfect entry there. If you had got out there and you've done just over 1 to 1, that's not too bad a result. It's not brilliant, because if you only ever do 1 to 1, you've got to work even harder to compound your account going forward. So I hope that analysis on that one is helpful. I'm going to remove that and show you something else.
Further to the left there, Sarah, on your first couple entry discussions, you had a nice M pattern in the candles there.
Oh, yeah, here.
Right there.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah. So what does that tell us, Brian? Double top.
Yep.
So equal highs.
Or close to it.
Yeah. And equal highs mean what? Stall
I'm
out.
not entirely sure on that one. I haven't done too much pattern study.
Well, I think I don't really follow them, but I think it's like it means a stall out, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then I was
Same
also
the
going
other
to
way around
comment.
will be the W.
Yeah,
I wasn't trying to set you trick question or anything.
Oh,
I
was
just
going to
thought,
say, you also had a set of old pitchfork extensions in the background there too, right under the 15-minute EMA.
oh yes. Very good point. You know, hadn't noticed those. So not everyone will have their old library built up like this, but that's beautiful, isn't it? Respecting the 15-minute and the extensions. Let's just see where that green pitchfork is from. Put my magnet on so I don't. So it's come out of that old scan into this new white cell scan, and that green one was here. And don't ask me why I haven't got the ABC pattern on. I'm not clever enough that I know how to draw harmonic scans. I most certainly don't. I've got no intention of ever trying to learn. But I did look at this the other day and wonder why I had this on here, and it must have. And
you probably have it hidden somewhere in your object tree.
Yeah, but I have also got the point. I'll tell you what this was. There was a problem on the scanner, and I could not figure out the points on it. So I left it like this to remind me that it was a bit dodgy, in my opinion. But I wasn't unhappy with it enough not to put it on. Does that make sense? It was the shape of the way the thing was drawn, or I couldn't get the points on the scan to line up with which points to put on here. And I'm very rarely, you know, struggling. But this one I spent ages on it. That was what the problem was. I just couldn't get the scan correct. Unless this is a, where's the end of my, yeah, back to there. I don't know, there was something a bit odd about this one anyway, but it worked out all right. It seems to have worked out all right because it's got touches along there. So I'll leave it on for the moment, but I do remember I was a bit unsure about what I was doing with that one. And now we have it in the new scan down here. So today we look at our harmonic scanner. There were a couple of new scans. I did draw some on. Euro GBP is just shaping up, so we do the 80 pip minimum. And that's 77, so that's not big enough because we like 20 pips minimum per pitchfork leg, and then we've got 1 to 2 risk to reward. That's 2% on 10 pips to 4% on 20 pips risk to reward. Very easy to work out. That's why we like to work like that. Just go to the hourly. That's too small. You can just tell by looking sometimes. And 64. That's the Euro GBP. Leave that for a moment because our other rule is the 20 pips from the D down there. GBP ORD, that one's worked its way down. That's a small one. Oh, it's 83. Expect I must have that one then. '83. GBP ORD H1. That might be that small one there then. Yeah. Let's have a look at that one. I don't know if anyone took any trades off this. So D point of 16th of July. Come down to the 15-minute. I had that. Can't remember why I had that marked up there. Particularly, some of them I've taken off my markups from trades. I'll have to come to the 1 minute. So we could just look at this one. Perhaps do it on the replay. If I can get Trading View to catch up. Oh, I was up at some silly hour, so I was drawing stuff up, and I just put these boxes on to remind me, although I wasn't trading at that time of night. I like to put markups on, so I was busy doing other stuff. So why did I put that there? So what did we have here? We had, there's the D point. It didn't break and retest it until all the way over here. Sometimes, as we know, it doesn't. It will take off without doing that. Can't see my quarter theory. Oh yeah, I know, Brian, please don't remind me. I haven't done that yet. That's a bit, I've got to go to indicators and do something to put on your wonderful quarter theory programming you've done. There it is. Brian's be going, Sarah, you're making work for yourself. If only you spent 5 minutes doing it, you wouldn't have to be doing this now. That's it there. Let me add that one on down here.
Well, when you finally get around to it, you will kick yourself for not doing it sooner.
Oh, yeah. That is such a good way of putting it. I know, often they're jobs that I dread, and once I actually do them, I think, why did I torture myself? That was actually quite simple. Or paperwork or something. So here we have price. Let me look at the pitchfork leg. It's only 24. So I don't know why I've put that there, because there's no trade on this until it hits the pitchfork, because those are our rules. So I can't remember now why I put that there. So stall out all along quarter theory. The orange breaks below for the sell confirmation. And then when we get to this point here, we've got our 1 minute trend line.
And might as well just trace it right along the 62 there. My goodness,
it's brilliant,
look at that.
isn't it? Yeah, that is amazing.
I mean, look at that, coming right into London.
So if we, and this is a very fast pair. I'm just thinking what your trade confirmations would have been for entry if you'd come in here, because you haven't got quarter theory. You've got the pitchfork break and retest to the 62.
Well, how many pips is it between quarter theory and the 62 there? It can't be more than 1 or 2.
No, it's up there.
No, you get, what's the dotted line here on the angle? That's another pitchfork lag.
Yeah. That's pitchfork. That white one.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't got quarter theory here.
You wouldn't need it because you measured it. It's only 25 pips between pitchfork lags.
Yeah, but what my other confirmations for entry then without quarter theory?
Well, you could argue you have a 1 minute trend going.
You mean here?
Yeah, if you follow the 62 all the way back up to where it stalls out over there.
So
A little further to the right. Yeah, yeah, anywhere along there.
Yeah. That's an hourly candle, 6 o'clock UK time. So it's broken above the 62. That's that little spike there. So we've got a 1 minute trend. That's an 8 a.m., 7 a.m. UK time candle there, pushing up. So we've got the 1 minute trend, we've got price below the 62, and then we get the, let's find a brush mark. Well, let's put the replay on and see what price does. Replay. So if we take it from, that's our break and retest, and under the 62 and the 1 minute trend.
Well, I'm calling entry for me anyways, past the little spike there, right where it
Past
does the
there.
break. Yeah, no, further back where it touches the 62. Yeah, I'd call entry over there.
Yeah. Here.
No. That's not where I would call entry. I would call it to the right of the spike, right where it comes back and kisses the 62, the trend line.
Oh, here.
Yeah, a little, about 5 more candles to the right.
Here.
Right there.
Yes, I agree. I agree, because otherwise you've got it just before the hour here, which we don't like.
Well, I'd call
here,
that
here it's above the pitchfork, so this is not an entry. You
right.
want it below the pitchfork. There's not enough. It's all stalling out there in Tokyo. Then you've got the hourly candle, quite a big drop down. You could have got in here.
Yeah, you could have, but you don't. Yeah, you could have. I would have waited for a better break and retest of the pitchfork or the 62.
Okay, I can go along with that. So to here
Well,
on the sell candle.
Yeah, anywhere along there would be fine.
Okay, so if we take it back to the hour and just play out and talk about what price does. So we're just coming up to the end of Tokyo. We've only got, I've got a lot of wicks on those candles, and it's only, as Brown said, a break and a retest of about 4 pips. It's not a good break and retest. But we have got the oranges crossed below the blue. So we have that crossed some time ago. So that is a confirmation for entry back here. Price is saying sell, while the orange is below the blue line. The current momentum in the market. Plus we've got the downward 1 minute trend. So that's 2 confirmations. We're waiting for a better break and retest of the pitchfork. We do have a pitchfork touch, which is 3 confirmations. So it's actually looking quite good. So let's see what price does. So boom, past the hour, push down. This is a very fast pair. We're going to get our break. There's our break and retest. So you could have had an entry there. And then down it goes. Or as Brown said, did you say entry there, that next one?
Yeah, like the
Either
first
of
cell.
those.
Yeah, any of those cell candles, about 5 more to the right of where your pink arrow is.
Yeah. So any of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. So very nice setup. Put our slider bar on. That always gives us our roadmap. So we're going to be in GA. We normally have a 15 pip stop loss, but you don't need one. So you've got an even better risk to reward ratio. You can get away with 5 or 10 on this one. I don't often move them. I know Chance moves them more than me. But if we say you can just put 10 on, save yourself that 5 pips. Because because that's way, that's above the previous high. You've got the downward trend anyway. Look at the 62 like that. You don't need 15 pips stop loss. And then we're going to come down to, I can't remember how this plays out. Beautiful take profit zone of pitchfork and quarter theory, which is one of our favorite take profit areas, which brings you down to your daily goal of 25 pips. And just for good measure, a couple of little extra pips there. So let's put that there and we'll just see how price plays out. So it just carries on down, stays under the 62 EMA, tests it, still under the 1 minute trend. I haven't carried on drawing it.
You probably forgot to turn back on extend lines in the settings for it.
Oh, I did. You're right. Thank you. Still under the 62. That's probably an hourly candle. So don't be afraid of that. That's 9 a.m. UK time. That's why it's done the fake out to the opposite direction. And hits quarter theory. Just switch it
Boom,
off.
26 pips, you could be out.
Yeah, very nice.
And it actually stalled out there for like 5 minutes.
Stalled out for 5 minutes. That absolutely, totally agree. That's giving you confirmation that it cannot push through that brick wall of quarter theory. Then you've got a perfect rejection to the wick of that pitchfork. And now it's broken above the 62 and the 1 minute trend. So there's no way, if you haven't got out down here, that you should be in it. Still up here. And let's just see what it carries on doing. Well, it does come back down to it again.
Yeah, but you'd have to give up. You'd have to wait for it to retrace all the way back to the pitchfork and 25 pips.
Ah, now there's an interesting discussion point then. What about that as another entry? Would you do that? I've never done that, I don't think. I'm not sure I'd ever do that.
What, for a sell?
Yeah.
What confirmations have you got? Right now you just got pitchfork, you're above the 62.
Yeah, you're above the 62, you've got the pitchfork touch, you haven't got a break and retest. It's not a stack in. No, it's not a good decision, is it? So then we ask ourselves, I agree with you, is that a stack in here? I don't know what price does after this.
I wouldn't. I think at the point where we're out here, we're looking for second trade opportunities, not necessarily a stack in.
Yeah, we're looking for a buy instead of carrying on down the sell.
Correct.
Okay.
Here you might have 3 there. You might have a fib off of that low spike there. Oh, we're way off in the middle of. Oh, we can't do a quarter theory trade. We're in the middle of nowhere. It's not big enough.
Okay. Get rid of that. So we're going to not confuse ourselves. We'll delete that. So is this a second trade here?
Potentially.
Yeah, pitchfork touch 1, break and retest of 8 pips 2, underneath dropping away from the 62 EMA 3. I think it's just given us the same setup.
Pretty much.
It's come up to test the 15-minute.
Yeah, you could take a trend line off of where it smacks the 15-minute EMA there. Yeah, that's not a bad entry.
That's not a bad entry, is it? Little doji candle there, depending on how you draw your trend line. in there. So you've got another entry for.
You'll easily get 20 pips out of that down at the pitchfork.
And you're still you're still covering your pitchfork, and you would have had your 62 EMA sitting in the red box as well at that point, which is what we like. We like our 3 confirmations in our pitchfork, and there's our take profit zone, the 20 pips round about here. But
on this one, if you were feeling brave, you could do a 10 pip stop loss and get 2 to 1.
I agree, yes, even better. So it's given us the same setup. Brilliant. So
isn't it fun back testing with multiple sets of eyes?
Yeah, it is. It's great, actually. Otherwise, I find I'm just talking to the dog and he gets a bit bored with it.
Well, he might be able to look at your screen and bark at trade entries too, right?
No, he doesn't bother, believe me. He does sit on the sofa by me, bless him. So here we've got to break and retest of the pitchfork. Above the 62, get out the trade if you haven't done beforehand.
Sounds like it needs a walk.
I know, he's just started. He obviously heard me talking. So that's that one. I hope that's helpful. We'll just remove some of this. And there we are. Oh.
Can you have a look at ECAD for me?
Yeah.
So, tell me if you think it's going to come down anymore.
Yeah. Is that
the harmonic scan that was on that this morning briefly on the 15-minute thing disappeared, so
ECAD.
Yeah, I got 5 pips out of it, and now it's gone back up again.
And you're in it for a sell.
Yeah, I cashed out on 5 pips and then went back in again, but now it's shot back up.
Sarah, there was a harmonic scan on that this morning. Hey, go back to the 15-minute there for a second. I'll show you where it was. There was a harmonic scan that basically started at the start of this big spike down, and then the D point was a little below where the green line is here on that, not the big one, the one before it, right about there, and then it shot up. And then the scan
that's disappeared, has it now?
And then the scan has disappeared.
Hmm.
So the harmonic scanner calls that no longer valid.
Does that do that occasionally? Does that come on and then it would just disappear?
Yeah, it happens from time to time, but this one also shot up quite abruptly, so it no longer met the criteria for one of the harmonic patterns, because all the harmonic patterns are basically Fibonacci reversal points. And there's specific ratios, so if it doesn't meet the ratio, it throws it out.
Oh, okay, got you.
So I've just unhidden.
You got an old one. You got an old one that's right in there. Look at that.
I know. Which is quite amazing, actually, given what you've just said. So what I'm going to do now is just have a look. And see.
Well, your white one's the current one.
The white one's the current one.
So on your chart that you're looking at now, Sarah, is that telling you that that's going to keep going up, or
that's saying it at the moment? At the moment, what if we come to the 1 minute? Because the 1 minute's our current trend, so we need to look at the 1 minute. So the 1 minute is saying that the orange is above the blue. That is. And it passed over 16th of July, just towards the end of the market day. So that's saying buy. It's come up above the pitchfork break and retest. So it's buying, and it's done 1, 2, 3, 4 rejections or thereabouts of quarter theory, and then it's above the 62, so it's buying. But now it's rejected off an old pitchfork of mine, but it is also below the 62. So it is coming back down at the moment. So I just want to look at where that.
So that green dotted one at the top there is an old pitchfork, is it, from some time before?
Yeah, I'm just going to find out which one that is. Sorry, this is going to look like Star Wars now. Let me put it in. This will make you laugh. I'll just put it in bright pink. So we. Okay, Benny, hang on.
So over time, then, that does actually follow what it does in history, then.
Yeah, sometimes you have to check them to make sure that you can see some pips are on it, that it hasn't glitched, you know, that it is still valid. I do check them before we reuse them. So this is working at the moment off a pitchfork of a D point of the 5th of June. So that's 16, 25, 41 days old, nearly 6 weeks old. And you can see it's that's the next point up there on it, so it's still very valid. Down there's almost touched. There's a perfect touch there. Perfect touches all along here. So that pink one is fine. So if we just, but we don't really need the pink one, do we? It's just that we were saying that we thought there was a new scan, but there isn't. That's the hourly anyway. I'm going to come back to the 1 minute. So can I take the pink one off, Brian?
Oh, hold on a sec. I was doing something else. Pink one,
all
what?
right, sorry. Yeah.
Pitchfork?
Shall I take the old pitchfork off? We don't really need it, do we? This is on the 1 minute. That's my old pitchfork, that pink one.
And what's the current one, the white one?
The current one's the white one, and my current ones are always in white, which is up there and down here. Yeah,
well, just work off your current one there, just but
although it's very interesting how it's respected that, isn't it?
Well, that's what I was just going to say. There's the old pitchfork coming back to make your life interesting, as we like to say.
Okay, so if we put a 1 minute trend on, which I'll take the magnet off, that would help.
So most of what you do is based on the 1 minute, yeah?
It's all based on the 1 minute. It's a hybrid strategy, so it's an hourly time frame chart analysis scanner off the scan, and then 1 minute for the precise entry, because it's that enables us to get the 10 pip stop loss.
Oh, right. Okay. So 1 hour on the harmonic scan, and then down to 1 minute for precise entry.
Yes, that's what gives us and then you've got the 10 pip stop loss.
Okay. You also 10 pip stop loss, do you?
10 pip stop loss, except for GBP pairs and Euro AUD and Euro NZD. So are you actually thinking about this buying or selling?
You talking to me or Brian?
Not Brian. Yeah, you. Not Brian.
Well, I'm in it selling at the moment, but it's gone back up.
Stay in it at the moment. Stay in it, because look at it now.
Oh yeah, it's come back down. It's come back down now.
Yeah, if I put the hull on, which normally we use for exits, but we'll just look at the 15-minute trend, because you've got a break and a retest there.
Your 15-minute blue line EMA is pointing upwards still.
Yes, and also the hull on the 15-minute is still on green.
Yeah, I'm nearly down at break even now, so it's come right back down.
And I bet that'll turn to red in a minute anyway, because it's moving down quite rapidly.
I also entered one on EJ as well, just on demo on EJ on a sell as well. And that one's now come into the money.
I don't think I've, oh, I have got EJ up.
I got that one off the Harmonic scanner. I'm just trying those out at the moment.
Yeah, I find this one a bit more difficult because you're in a price trap between quarter theory and that scan, but I don't know if I've got the most recent scan on EJ. So you've only got another 10 pips before it hits that pitchfork there.
So how do you drag your scan over onto that chart?
I'll show you, hang on. I've just got to turn off.
Well, how are you taking trades now if you're not copying your scans over to TradingView?
I'm not hardly using TradingView. I've hardly even used it. I set it up the other day, and I got the BYOB indicators on it. I'm just taking the trades straight off the Harmonic scanner.
What, the free trade idea it gives you?
Yeah.
So we are out of, this is EJ, we're out of this scan. I'll just look at these, setting that, get that a bit, right, I'm on the 15 minutes. I just want to see, it's come out of that scan here, D point of the 6th of July. And it's back in, oh, this is the second pitchfork that I drew. I think I drew this early hours of this morning with the C touch. So a second pitchfork must be in the opposite direction of the primary scan. It's a little bit more advanced. Your pitchfork is out into the middle of nowhere, and then it's X to A, and then you line it up the opposite direction of the scan on either the C touch or a D touch. In this case, it was a C touch that worked. If you can't get either of those, then you do best fit. But I had these points along here and here, so I went for the C touch. So that's a second pitchfork that I drew. So this is what it's doing at the moment. So it is, the orange has crossed above the blue, that's saying buy. We have a pitchfork touch here, that's a buy. And we have it now coming above quarter theory. And I think that trend is quite clearly, we just switch the pivots on. Oh, we've got a little channel there of lower lows and lower highs there. So I don't know if it's going to do anything much, because look, it's stalled out there on quarter theory, stalled out there, and probably going to stall out here. So I don't know if this is actually going to move up anymore. Let's come to the 1 minute then. And that's.
Oh, ECAD just took profit on 5 pips.
Oh, well done.
So it did come right back down. So that's 10 pips on that one.
There we are.
That's not bad. Yep.
Yeah. So that's now coming, that's working its way down either to that previous quarter theory line of support and resistance, or to this next one where that pitchfork is.
You reckon that's a good sell? Stay in then, go back in maybe?
I wouldn't go back in because it's sitting in the middle of nowhere. You've not got maximum ping power, you know, off your boomerang. That's why we're working off pitchforks, because they give you that maximum punch to get the push off it. That's why we're working off pitchforks, because they're based on Fibonacci. Very, very accurate, and they will either price will only ever do two things at a pitchfork when we're looking at setups. It will do that, the break and retest and go, or it will do this, which is what it's done, which is the rejection of it. We very rarely get caught in consolidation working on the 1 minute, which is this, in which case you don't want to be in any trade when price is doing that. That's just where it's, you know, ranging, doing nothing. And you get quite a lot of that in Tokyo, which is the smallest
So you
market.
you wouldn't go in now then and down to the quarter theory and then
Definitely
get
not.
out when it hits there?
Well,
No.
if you were still in your trade, you could still be in it
Yeah.
Yeah.
and let it ride a little longer
Get out when it gets down to 5500.
or close to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would never enter a trade where price is at the moment because we've got nothing to anchor ourselves to.
Right.
The only thing is, I did think about this when we were looking at it, is if we had a Fibonacci, but we haven't got a fib retracement to go off because that point is higher than this, so that's
And it's
past the
higher than the
100%,
pitchfork.
and it's harder than the pitchfork.
You've got your M shape at the top there. I don't know if it's one of your M's, is it, or not? Is it too small?
Yep, that's an M. Well, it's an angled M, but good spot.
Yeah. So if we come out to the hourly, and we'll just see. So the scan worked its way virtually down. Oh, well, outside the extensions. Sorry, that's the wrong scan. I'm not going to switch it on because there's too many going on here. Let's turn that one off. I guess all in a muddle. So it actually only worked its way down to the median. It didn't fulfill the scan of this one. And then it came back into the white one, which was from that D point, 27th of May.
So if you just take a trade off the harmonic scanner, they're only accurate down to like about 80% or something, are they?
89% accurate of 100,000 independently verified scans. But if you Google it, it'll come up with that, with showing you the results of each pattern.
That may have slightly changed when we had that craziness back in February with the COVID pandemic. It's a lot of the scales just blew past the D point like 50%. So that ratio may be down to around 85%.
Okay.
But your problem with taking trades right off the harmonic scanner as is, you have to basically be watching the harmonic scanner and catch the D point right away as soon as the scan comes up.
Right. Yeah, so I need to learn how to draw these pitchforks and stuff on the trading view, like Sarah.
Your best resource on that one is go to the Go Live section on IM Academy. Go look up Chance and Samantha Ghanem. Go to their favorite video section and look up favorite video number 3, drawing harmonic pitchforks.
Okay.
And then as Charlie just pointed out too, the reason why you copy them over to TradingView too is so that you can have a library of them, because the scans disappear. They don't stay on the scanner forever.
Right.
Whereas on TradingView, they will stay there as long as you don't delete them forever.
Okay. Got you.
So another one I marked up for this session was GN, which, and then we'll finish. If anyone's got any other questions, that's absolutely fine. I've got to go and do some other stuff. We've been on an hour, but thanks for joining. But we'll just have a quick look at this one. So we had a D point there, break and a retest there, which is one of our favorite breaks and retests when it's off the D point. And then my quarter theory's turned off, of course, which is going to really amuse Brian. All right, Benny. All right. 4:24, 5 o'clock. That's why you had the push up there. 4 o'clock UK time this morning. and then it carries on pushing down below the 62, pitchfork touch, break and retest. That's a better entry there, that one. All right. Here, after a break and a retest of, that gives you your 10 pips, break and retest. So that is better down here. And then you've got a very nice drop. And you're below quarter theory. So very nice entry there. Beautiful entry. And that gives you nearly the 50 pips, which is why we work between the quarter theories, because we can then judge it on our eye that that's 50 pips. There's the 20 pip take profit. So it comes right down to the pitchfork. I probably wouldn't.
Did you go into that one at the top there?
Did I?
Yeah.
No, I was marking stuff up. It was about 3 or 4 in the morning, and I like to put boxes and arrows on just to remind myself. And sometimes I put alerts on, but I try not to trade Tokyo now because I tended to get stuck in things. Oh, I didn't want to get stuck in, because sometimes it only moves about 20 pips or so. Euro USD, I do find moves in Tokyo, but it's just because I'm sitting quietly marking charts up or doing something online. But that's a very, very nice trade. Then when it comes down to here, we've got, that's 30 pips. And then there's quite a lot of stall out. So you would have had to have stayed in. That's another 4 hours. This is why you just want to take your profit sometimes and not think how much more is it going to go, because you've got to stay in another 7 hours to get about another 20 pips. And then you've got a lot of retracement back to the 15-minute as well. So very nice profit zone here before it broke back up and stalled through the 62. Well, it did drop down again a bit, but you probably would have been out straight away somewhere around about there. And the thing I like about the fast pairs is you get in here, and to get to that line down there, you've done 30 pips in under an hour, 56 minutes.
So when it's on a sell and it's underneath the orange EMA, isn't that never any need to get out?
Correct, because it's acting as a ceiling. If price is below the 62 EMA, it is selling all the way, selling. Once it crosses above, it's telling you it's buying. It's acting as a floor. It's buying. So there it drops again. So if you were in it, break and retest above the 62, I don't think you would have been in it for a buy there. That's not really a buy setup. But yeah, absolutely. If it's above the 62, it's buying. So say, for example, you had break and retest, quarter theory, and so there, would you have been? No, because you wouldn't have got in till there. So there isn't really another setup there. Let's see if there's one further back. I haven't got quarter theory on, haha. Let's look on something else. So nothing too obvious there.
I'm looking forward to taking my shirt back off. I only put it back on for this meeting because it's so hot up here. It's unreal.
Oh, are you up in the roof?
Oh no, I'm just in the front bedroom, but it's south-facing and it just gets so
Oh
hot.
yeah, the back of my house here gets really hot. Then I've got the stone sitting room at the front, which is on the street, which is always really cool. But it's like hitting an oven when I walk in this back end some days. So we'll just finish on this then you can get some cooling down. I was just trying to find you a sort of a buy setup to show you what it would look like.
Yeah, I didn't want to scare everybody off thinking I wasn't wearing any clothes.
Well, I don't know what to say to that. Go on the 15-minute. So this is Euro NZD. I am on the 15-minute, not the 1 minute. What have we got going down here? I could just put my quarter theory on. Hasn't really done it there.
How many screens are you using, Brian? Are you using 3 screens or just 2 screens?
I use one.
Just one, okay. Because I struggle with having Trading View on one, Harmonic Scanner on one, and then like Chat on another one, Zoom on another one. I need like 5. I'm running 2 at the moment, and I think I need another
Well,
one.
okay, I will qualify that. I'm using multiple virtual desktops on my operating system, so I can keep my screen relatively organized and just flip through the various different desktops for what I need. So I have one for a web browser, one for Discord, and one for my email client, and that's pretty much all I use.
Oh, right, okay. I didn't know you could do that. That's a bit beyond me, that bit. But I've got 2. It's much easier with 2, but I think I need one more. My son has now got one working on a little Raspberry Pi computer the size of a cigarette packet, and he's using his MT4 on that. So perhaps I'll get one of those going. I got a couple of those in the drawer spare. Just need to find a screen.
Yeah, I mean, like, take your pick, right? You could run your harmonic scanner and your trading platform on one computer, and then if you have a laptop, hook up a spare TV via an HDMI cable for your second monitor and put TradingView on that one.
Yeah. It's just continuously flicking back to Zoom and like to Discord and one thing and another. I think it'd be handy just to have all that bit on one monitor, like running on its own, and then have Trading View on another screen, and then like Harmonic on the other screen or whatever, rather than flicking back. Because at the minute I've got like 40 windows open along the bottom here, and I just can't keep up with them all. Sarah, do you just use one screen then, Sarah?
Well, yes, but I'm lazy because I've got French wiring problems, which means I have to daisy chain stuff because rewiring the whole house be hugely expensive. I mean, humongously, so I just do it bit by bit. So I've got another server and setup here, but I just haven't plugged it in, and I keep telling people I'm going to plug it in and I never do it. And then I've got a PC, a small laptop. So I do want those all plugged in, then I'll extend the desktop so I can do Zoom and see people properly, and then put my Pepperstone on my other computer so I can take the trade there. I never trade on my phone because I can't see the figures properly. And then keep this for my trading view. I like this computer with my trading view in front of me, and I tend to do my Zoom calls on here.
So what's Pepperstone? Forgive me, I don't know what that is.
Oh, Pepperstone is a broker, and I like it because I've got C-Trader. I don't use MT4. C-Trader is a web-based trading platform, and you can use it on any device.
Okay.
And it's got a very nice slider bar for your stop loss. I can't really find one, but you can see how price stays above the orange line. This is the long extension leg of the Elliott wave, which has formed the C to D on the new scan. So in a buy situation, whilst price is above the 62 like it is all the way up here, you could run your stop profit up, following it up, and you'd be fine. Now, once it starts to do this and stalls along, you've been in it all that time, and it's passed up above quarter theory and the pitchfork, because you wouldn't necessarily know where this D point is going to form, because it's very hard when you're in Elliott waves to tell where you are in it. Sometimes I'll be looking to set up here thinking it's a sell, when actually it's part of the continuation of the buy and it's just a little retracement. So if we were actually in this trade, but I won't put the replay button on, and we couldn't see all this at this point would have been happening in the future, then we might think about getting out of the trade here as it crossed below the 62, because we would have made a lot of profit coming up here. But say you had stayed in, then whilst price is above, you're fairly confident that there's no reason for you to get out of the trade. But of course, say you had reached your take profit at this point up here, never mind the D point, just on any trade, up at this point, it's the same thing we were looking at that the people were talking about in the messenger chat early on GU for the sell, that if you were in here for the buy and then it retraced all the way down here and crossed below the 62, you might be thinking, oh God, look, I've just given up something like, got my magnet on, that's not helping, 6 or 7 pips. In fact, 9 pips, and then it comes right down 15 pips before it takes off again up to this new point up here. So the 62 is a line, it's a rolling line of support and resistance, and it's a line that professional traders really, really respect. And I think it's because it's nearest to the 61.8, which is why we're measuring 62. That's our exponential moving average, because price will always come back to it, and it is a very powerful line that professional traders, the big boys, really respect, which is why we use it, I think. But I'm just thinking on this D point whether this has moved up here. Now I know Brian wouldn't move it, but as he's not looking, I'm going to move it. And what I will do for Monday is put a circle around it to remind myself that I've moved it without checking with the scanner. Okay, so unless anyone's got anything else, I think we'll call it a day on our Fork Friday review of the week. But always feel free to bring charts, or we can make you co-host, share screens, have a look at what's been going on, chat about things.
All right, nothing on my side. So everybody have yourself a good weekend and see you all next week.
Thanks very much, Sarah.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for your help as well, Brian.
No problem.
Oh, if I missed any chat.
No, not really. Charlie just commented the scans disappear over time.
Yeah, once they are done, yeah. So where do I find that quarter theory thing you've done? Looking in indicators.
I sent it to you in
you sent it to me in the chat?
Yeah, in Facebook chat.
Yeah, that's fine. I thought you had. I'll look back through. That's fine. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Yeah, cheers. Bye. Have a nice weekend, Brian.